It's time to get educated on the craziness impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses around the world. This is the Dr. Duke Show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Dr. Duke Show. We've got a great show for you today, so please hit that share button. Keep us growing. Today, we start by welcoming our international correspondent, Alex Newman, the man. He's going to give us a report on schools giving children COVID injections across the country without consulting the parents. Alex, this strikes me as criminally felonious, that you're taking somebody else's kids, jabbing a needle into their arm, and calling it prevention.
Yeah, it is, Duke, a brazen assault on the rights of parents to make decisions for their children. It is a brazen assault on the bodily integrity of these children. And, the schools are using really nefarious tools. They're bribing these kids. One case in Los Angeles at the Barack Obama Global Prep Academy, government brainwash camp named after the former dear leader. They were bribing kids with pizza. And one of the kids went home and told his mom, hey, the lady who gave me the shot told me not to tell anyone so that nobody gets in trouble. But of course, he did the right thing and went home and told his mom anyway. But people who think this is just in the land of fruits and nuts, I've got bad news. It's happening all over the country, even in conservative states. We've got cases in Louisiana where these mobile vaccine clinics were brought into government brainwash camps, and they're injecting the kids, again, without parental permission. Sometimes you have kids who hand in forms without a signature, and they pretend not to notice, so they inject the kids. There are even some states, believe it or not, Duke, where parental permission is not required. Oregon is one such state. North Carolina, they just fixed their law because in North Carolina, children were able to get these COVID injections without their parents. So they just had to fix that in the legislature. But this is a nationwide problem. In New York, they're bribing kids with $100 to come get a shot. And while they technically need parental permission, $100 is a very strong motivator to forge a signature or have your older friend be on the phone and pretend to be your dad or your mom. So very problematic. And this is irreversible. Once you get this injection, it's not like you can just, oh, sorry, we'll undo that. It's a problem for life now. So it's very sad.
And so are parents taking action? I mean, you got a lot of kids, Alex. You got a beautiful young family. And this happened to you. What would you do? What would you do if your kids, they're not in the public school because you have a brain, but what would be your course of action? And are parents fighting this, or are they just rolling over?
I better plead the Fifth Amendment on that one, Duke, because if my kids were injected without my permission, it would be a problem of such enormity that I don't even want to contemplate. But, some of these parents are very, very upset. You have lawsuits now being filed. One of these cases in Louisiana, you've got a lawyer that is just bulldog saying, this is a assault on a child. This is an assault on the parental right. They are going after this, so we're going to get justice, and we're going to make sure this doesn't happen to any other family in the state of Louisiana. In California, you have some of these parents are like, I'm not even anti-vax. My kids got health conditions. I didn't want to get them the vaccine. So you have some districts now where these injections are mandated, where parents are ultimately going to either have to give their consent or they're going to have to pull their children out of school. Like I said, in North Carolina, it was such an uproar that the legislature did go in and change that law. So now parental consent is required. In Oregon, you actually have counties saying, look, we don't care what the state law is. Nobody's going to be injecting children in this community without consent from their parents. But the state is saying, nope, we are going to continue injecting those children. So there's the battle looks different in different states, depending on what the state law is, depending on the attitude of the parents. But I'll tell you, there are a lot of parents who are upset. And I'll tell you what, there are a lot of parents here in Florida that I think would go to war to protect their children. I mean, the people that I talk to, I travel the state, I travel the country. There are people who are convinced that these shots are deadly. There are people who are convinced that this is part of, biblical end times prophecy, and they don't want their children participating. And I'll tell you, there is a lot of anger about this. There's a lot of concern about this. And if this doesn't motivate parents to finally take the plunge and get their children out of public schools, you wonder what could possibly do that.
This strikes me, if there ever was an instance where you could use a class action lawsuit, get these moms and dads from across these different states to pool their resources, get some big heavy hitter lawyers to come in and the moms and dads won't have to pay anything until the lawsuit is settled. I don't see any way. If there's no precedent for this, if it's not legal, I can't imagine how any kind of a jury, any kind of an impaneled jury would not see huge benefits, reparations to these kids, because these that we don't know. There's no scientist can tell you that in 5, 10, 20 years from now, this particularly rush to market vaccines, they're actually going to not have any side effects. You don't know. And when you're taking kids and you're not even allowing parents to say in this, it just seems to me that this could be a huge collective case. I imagine it would appear the Supreme Court would take it, and you could get some modicum of justice.
Yeah, and I think there's going to be a lot of cases on this. There have already been cases filed, and I think we're just seeing the beginning of this, Duke. But we need to see justice served. Parents' rights need to be protected in this and everything else.
Well, speaking of that, we learned just today, Alex, and this might be your next assignment, if you wish to accept it, Alex Newman. This could be your next. We just learned today that the governor of Louisiana mandated vaccines for all public school kids, mandated them.
Wowzers. I did not realize that. So they're going the California route, huh?
Yeah, so maybe next week that'll be our topic, Alex. I want to thank you for being here today. Thank you very much.
Today's show is sponsored by our friends at MyPillow. Save up to 66% on all items at MyPillow.com when you use the code Dr. Duke. That's DRDUKE. Support this show by supporting a great American company.
There's too many men, too many people, making too many problems, and there's not much love to go around. And yes, the Genesis concert last week was pretty awesome, I must say. Thanks for asking, by the way. Now, on to those who are clearly confused.
I did Bob Dole's eulogy today. He asked me on his deathbed whether I would do his eulogy. We're friends. We disagreed, but we're friends. We used to have an awful lot of that relationship, and there still exists, except that the QAnon and the extreme elements of the Republican Party and what Donald Trump keeps sort of, seems to me, feeding the, with the big lie, it makes it awful hard. And I think most Republicans, and there's an awful lot of Republicans in Congress, I think, would agree.
The big lie, like that Biden is competent and with us. And that brings us to today's question. Who is the leader of the land of confusion? Make sure you share this video, if for nothing else, but to confuse your friends, because the cruel reality is that no one is really leading, but everyone is certainly confused. Like this lady.
Today, with your children on your shoulders, neighbors at your side, friends old and new standing as one, you renewed our democracy. And because of the honor you have given me, you changed its face forever. I am as sure of this as anything I have ever known. America is the greatest country in the world. And from tonight going forward, together, we will make America even greater than it has ever been for each and every one of us. Thank you. God bless you, and may God bless America.
I have one thing to say. Yes, Hillary did deliver her 2016 presidential victory speech in 2021 after not becoming president 5 years ago. It's part of her masterclass called The Power of Resilience. I personally think it's just a cover because she's so distraught about the details she's hearing from the Ghislaine Maxwell case that the media certainly don't want you to know about. How many times was Bill on the airplane with Jeffrey Epstein and underage girls? Anyone? Another lady who believes she's a winner is none other than Chattering Nancy.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has made a decision to stay in her leadership post until after at least the midterm elections and perhaps beyond. Now, Pelosi, who turns 82 next year, had previously set the year 2022 as a more or less target date for retirement. But sources familiar with her thinking say she hasn't ruled out extending her 20-year run as the House's top Democrat.
That right there is its own campaign ad that every Republican and frankly every Democrat should run in the 2022 election. No one outside of San Francisco wants to keep her around. It's almost as if she picked the one area that would elect her over and over. I know the dead bodies also help the tally. They collectively mean she's voting for herself more than once because she's basically a dead body at this point.
What's the mystery?
I know. How dare I talk about the level of decrepit our leading politicians have reached? The greatest doctor of all the doctors who have a doctorate in education has let me see my error in judgment. Dr. Jill Biden, please show me the way.
During the campaign, Joe made certain promises, things that he would do. And we were going through a pandemic, which no one could have anticipated. So he did come in and rescue America with the American Rescue Plan.
She's confused, which is understandable when you've been busily focused on keeping Joe in the basement. Please enlighten us on Joe's mental capacity.
There have been some recent polls that show that quite a few Americans have some questions about the president's current mental fitness. As somebody who spends, I can see you shaking your head.
Yes.
So what's your response to that?
I think that's ridiculous.
That's elder abuse. If Joe is so mentally fit, why is he now the least accessible president in modern history? Shouldn't he be out challenging people to push-up contests and jogging with his favorite Brobama? Instead, he's hiding and possibly hooked up to a bunch of machines to help him at least look animatronic. The Republican National Committee compiled a list of examples of Biden's groundhog nature, including conducting the fewest number of interviews than the last 6 presidents, never having done a Sunday show, because duh, that's why he has Jill, and only doing 3 town halls, all with his number 2 boo, CNN. And we all know he hasn't been transparent about anything when he has spoken to us, the American public, but he still has CNN there to defend him.
The last 4 months, however, Biden has been at where Donald Trump was or lower than where Donald Trump is in terms of media sentiment. I mean, it's not bias, it's the actual words we're using. So we are as negative as a collective media on Joe Biden, if not more so than we were to Donald Trump at a time when he was trying to overthrow democracy.
Again, it's a land of confusion. Let's shift just a touch to take a quick look at some more things that have been confusing for so many in the media and the blue elitists. At the beginning of the month, the Supreme Court heard the last arguments for a possible overturn of Roe v. Wade, and as predicted, those who have no understanding of Roe v. Wade and its implications went stark raving mad and spewed their 2 cents.
Do any of you men have any eggs or the possibility of carrying a fetus? How dare you talk about what a fetus wants? You have no idea.
Porky, your response.
Whoopee.
Because in reality, if Whoopi and the left had her way, neither of the boys would have been born. They may have interrupted their good time.
Because the bottom line is really has always been, I too am pro-life. No one that I know who has had an abortion went willingly or happily.
Okay, now I'm confused. We already know Whoopi is. Moving on. Time magazine must be confused because they named Elon Musk the Person of the Year. He's a capitalist, and he has said things that make logical sense. So now I'm confused why Time would actually pick him. Fellow Time Person of the Year, who was the Person of the Year for 2019, was reached for comment.
How dare you?
Greta wasn't the only one who was mad, because they're always mad. But Greta should be mad at her fellow climate fighter, changer, yeller, agitator, yah, Mother Earther. Which brings us to today's...
Where in the world is Kamalama Lama Ding Dong?
Today we found Kamalama Ding Dong doing what she does best, plugging a hole and pretending to be interested in electric vehicles. She clearly demonstrated that she has no idea what's happening.
It's plugged in, so is it plugged into just a normal electric socket, right?
Yes, normally it's a 240 volt, but you can go ahead and plug in and
okay.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we are.
That's it.
And there's no sound or fume.
There is nothing.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's
so
all there is to it.
For all of us who are used to
every morning
filling our tank, you usually can smell it and you can hear it. You can hear the guzzling sound.
Right.
None of that.
None of
so
that.
how do I know it's actually working?
It is. So typically, once you wave the card, it's actually charging. So.
But how would I know that?
But how would I know that? It wouldn't be a Kamala clip without a cackle, her referencing fumes and inhaling, and pretending that she pumps her own gas and drives her own vehicle. She has proven to be the most useful vice president since John Tyler's vice president. Fun fact, John Tyler, along with 3 others, did not have a vice president for the entirety of his presidency, which means that those offices didn't need redecorating. But now that Kamala Ding Dong is there, she has carefully curated art pieces reflecting how she differs from the 48 men who held the role before her. She's all the things that make her so special, including that she is incompetent at her job. But the San Francisco Chronicle is there to profile and defend Harris, saying that the vice president won't be distracted by ridiculous headlines. Like this one, Kamala Harris has redecorated the VP's office. Here's the meaning behind her choices. The San Francisco Chronicle, always there to provide their own level of idiocy, all in one day. So you now clearly know that Kamala Ding Dong will not be distracted, except by paint samples and wallpaper. I repeat, there's too many men, too many people, making too many problems, and there's not much love to go around. Change that last part by showing some love to all those around you, especially keeping in your prayers all those affected by the devastating tornadoes in Kentucky. And if you could, please make sure to share the love of this video. Until next time, let's go Brandon, and stay healthy, America.
Today's show is sponsored by Clean Start Hand Sanitizer. For an odor-free foam hand sanitizer that lasts 2 hours and provides 19 refills, visit freedomproject.com/clean. That's KLEEN to order yours today.
It's time now for Reclaiming America with our counterculture mom, Tina Griffin. Tina, thanks for joining us.
Hey, pleasure's all mine. Reclaiming America, reclaiming gender, reclaiming sanity. That's what we're here to do today.
This is a particularly disturbing story. We have an adult male by the name of Will Thomas, and you can see him there on the right. And he swam for a Ivy League school. He was on was a decent swimmer, not a great swimmer. He won here and there occasionally, but altogether a completely forgettable male swimmer. He decided he was going to become a woman, and now he is Leah Thomas, or maybe better, we should pronounce that Laya Thomas, right? Because this is a great big lie. Now, Laya Thomas is destroying women. I mean, we're talking lap after lap at 38-second victory in a recent swim meet over the next closest girl.
Yeah, it really blows my mind and really makes me irk. The whole situation stinks. I don't know if it's because I have my head right in front of his armpit behind me or the fact that he's trying to wreak havoc with women's sports. But this transgender swimmer, to me, it just seems like a story where he's creating a way for himself to win awards. The thing that really drives me nuts, had I been at that school right now, I would absolutely be creating a stink. It's completely unfair for all of the women who are working hard for college scholarship funds. And you have a guy now pretending he's a woman that is winning all of these records that people said would blow away people at the Olympics. His records are so great because he's competing as a female when he's been competing forever as a male, like you said. Different muscle mass, different structure, everything. Of course, he's going to be blowing the women out of the water, but it really drives me nuts that he's wrecking women's sports.
You know, it's always under the guise that these poor men who become women, they just want to compete. No, they don't. They want to win awards, and they brag about it. Take a look at this interview with Leah.
Interesting experience swimming and training while taking HRT, as I've experienced a lot of muscle loss and strength loss, and getting back in the water at the beginning of the year, and just struggling to be anywhere close to where I was previously is very interesting.
And here's the swim. There's the arrow. Watch what right there with the arrow. That's Leah winning the race. And now watch how long it takes. We're going to even speed this up or we'd be here all afternoon. All these other laps are required before you get, boom, right there, the second place finisher. It is the height of gall to have this dude sit there and tell us about he's lost so much musculature and he just had to get back in the pool as if he went from being a man to being nothing. And then all of a sudden he just found his strength again. This is absurd.
Dr. Duke, that's the first time I saw that footage, and it's making my blood boil right now. I am absolutely angered by this. The problem with what's going on is the NCAA bylaws permit transgender athletes to compete as women after they have competed 1 year or completed 1 year of testosterone suppression treatment. But Thomas is now doing this for 2.5 years, hormone replacement therapy. We obviously see he's still a male. I mean, he's creaming the other women by 3 or 4 laps ahead of him. Despite the hormone therapy, these are still biological males. Most are bigger, faster, stronger than the women they're actually competing against. It should be absolutely illegal. And it makes women now who are even talking to me personally saying they don't care if they ever compete in sports again. It's a way to cheat the system. This guy is literally cheating in order to get a gold around his neck. It's wrong and it's actually disgusting. And we have to put an end to this. If he wants to do his own competition with the people that are confused or wanting to cheat, they can do that, but keep them out of women's sports. Hands down, we need leaders in offices around this country that are going to do that and stand up for us women.
I know. I used to not believe in the term toxic masculinity, but I think we have found it. Liberal white men like this, appropriating women's athletics and then boasting about it. Take a look at this quote. A teammate of Leah Thomas said, Thomas bragged after winning the 200-meter freestyle at the University of Akron Zippy Invitational. And this is what Leah said. That was so easy, I was cruising. And after winning the 500 freestyle, but disappointed with the time, he continued to boast, quote, at least I'm still #1 in the country in front of his teammates. Where is the justice for women? I mean, it really is outrageous.
It is outrageous. And the thing that drives me nuts is we as counterculture parents who are trying to raise our kids to be fair are now trying to explain to kids that you shouldn't cheat when we have to explain news stories like that. Now, if I would show that to my 12, 11, 9, and 8-year-old, they would be like, why are they allowing that guy to cheat? It's in the eyes of the child, Dr. Duke, that we get the truth of what's going on here. Here's what blows my mind. An anonymous teammate told Outkick that if Leah Thomas gets back to her best time she swam when she was still Will Thomas, those times would be female world records and would be faster than any Olympian you can think of. That's what should be a no-brainer, that this guy is absolutely cheating his way in the system.
Notice what happens when you have females transitioning to males. You don't see them competing. They still want to compete against the women, and if they compete against the men at all, you never hear about them because so it went every way you slice this, men win. And where the feminist voice went, I do not know. Tina, let people know where they can find your information.
Check out the Counterculture Mom app. Click on Premium. Right now, we're offering everybody 2 months free if they sign up for our annual Counterculture Mom app at Google Play, iTunes Store. We have tons of positive options on there. A lot of free movie screenings coming up. VidAngel allowing only $1 for sign up. That's it for a filtering system for your entertainment, whether you're bringing it into the home this year. Check it out. Counterculture Mom app. Download it. Get premium. You will love the content.
All right. Before we wrap things up, I do want to take a moment and show some love to our wonderful Patriot Club supporters. Today, we'd like to give a shout out to Chris from Thief River Falls, Minnesota. Awesome. Thief River Falls. There's a story there somewhere. Thanks for supporting us, Chris. And that's going to do it for the Dr. Duke Show. This is me, Dr. Duke, saying until next time, Merry Christmas, and you stay educated, my friends.